Some people say the forest is never truly silent. There are birds, wind, animals moving through the undergrowth, branches swaying overhead. But there was one part of the forest where none of those sounds existed, only our footsteps, and something else. Something that walked whenever we walked, stopped whenever we stopped, breathed whenever we breathed. At first, we thought someone was following us. By the end, we wished it had been human. After escaping the nightmare of the faceless mimic, Ethan and I kept moving through the endless wilderness of Marker 13. Neither of us trusted our ears anymore. The voices had lied to us. The trees had lied to us. Even our own memories had begun to feel unreliable. We spoke only when absolutely necessary. Every sentence felt dangerous. Every sound felt like an invitation. The morning was strangely calm. A cold mist clung to the ground, wrapping itself around fallen logs and twisted roots. Sunlight filtered weakly through the towering pines, never quite reaching the forest floor. It felt less like morning, and more like a world that had forgotten how to become day. For nearly an hour, the only sound was the crunch of our boots against damp leaves. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Then, another crunch, perfectly timed. I stopped walking. The extra footsteps stopped too. I looked at Ethan. "You heard that?" He nodded slowly. Neither of us turned around. We waited. Nothing. Only silence. Eventually we continued. Crunch, 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 crunch. Again, always one extra pair. Always perfectly synchronized with ours. "Someone's behind us," I whispered. Ethan shook his head. "No," his voice barely escaped. "They're beside us." A chill raced through my body. I looked to my left. Empty forest. To my right. Nothing. Yet I could feel it. Something keeping pace just beyond the trees. Always hidden. Always close enough to hear us breathe. We decided to test it. Without warning, Ethan sprinted forward. I followed. Immediately, the unseen footsteps broke into a run too, exactly matching our speed. Never faster, never slower. We stopped suddenly, so did they. I counted to 10. No movement, no breathing, nothing. Then Ethan whispered, "Walk backward." Slowly, we took 3 steps back. The unseen walker did exactly the same. 3 matching footsteps echoed through the trees. My mouth went dry. Whatever it wasn't chasing us. It was copying us. By afternoon, the tension became unbearable. Every movement we made was answered. Every step, every jump. Even when we deliberately stumbled, the invisible footsteps stumbled too. It was like walking beside a reflection we couldn't see. Then we found proof. A stretch of soft mud crossed the trail. Our footprints appeared clearly in the earth. 2 sets. Mine, Ethan's, nothing else. Yet the matching footsteps continued. Crunch, crunch, crunch. No tracks, no marks, no evidence. Just sound. I looked up at the trees. For the first time, I wondered if whatever followed us wasn't on the ground at all. As if reading my thoughts, something stepped on a branch above us. It snapped loudly. We both raised our flashlights. The treetops were empty. But the footsteps below never stopped. The sun began sinking behind dark clouds. The forest grew colder. Long shadows stretched between the pines like black fingers. Then Ethan froze. He pointed ahead. Another hiker stood in the middle of the trail, a young woman. Her backpack was torn. Her clothes were muddy. She looked terrified. "Please," she whispered, "I've been hearing footsteps all day." Relief flooded through me. Finally, someone else. Someone real. She introduced herself as Lily. She claimed she'd been separated from her hiking group 2 days earlier. Everything about her seemed genuine. Her fear, her exhaustion, the cuts on her hands. Then Ethan quietly asked, "How many footsteps do you hear?" She looked confused. 3. There were only 3 of us. Nobody spoke. We kept walking together. Now there were 6 footsteps, ours, and 3 invisible ones, each perfectly matched. Lily noticed it too. Her breathing quickened. They're copying us. Before anyone could answer, all 6 unseen footsteps suddenly stopped. Only ours continued. Then, something impossible happened. The invisible footsteps started again, walking away from us, into the forest. One by one, slowly. patiently, as though inviting us to follow. Lily took a step toward the trees. I grabbed her arm. No. She stared blankly into the darkness. They sound like my friends. I listened carefully. She was right. The footsteps no longer sounded random. Each carried tiny differences. A limp, a heavier stride, a lighter step, as though each invisible walker belonged to someone different, someone we'd lost. Then I heard it. Jake's familiar rhythm. His left boot had always struck the ground harder than the right, exactly the same. "Ethan," I whispered. "That's Jake." Ethan closed his eyes. "I know." The footsteps drifted farther into the forest, then stopped. Complete silence returned, until Jake laughed. Somewhere ahead. We didn't move. Minutes later, we reached a narrow valley. The ground was covered with fallen leaves. No mud, no rocks. Perfect for seeing tracks. We walked across. Our footprints remained clearly visible. Behind us, a second set slowly appeared, one by one, without anyone making them. Fresh impressions forming by themselves. Heel, toe, matching our stride perfectly. Lily screamed. The invisible walker had finally left footprints. Except, they weren't human. Each print had only 3 long toes. The earth trembled gently, every print filled with dark water. Then, the water reflected faces. Mine, Ethan's, Lily's, all smiling. None of us were. We ran. The forest exploded with movement. Branches shook, leaves swirled, hundreds of unseen footsteps surrounded us. No longer matching, no longer hiding, charging. We burst into a clearing. At its center stood an old wooden bell tower, rusted, leaning, forgotten. A thick rope hung from the bell. Across the entrance someone had carved, "Don't ring it." The footsteps stopped instantly. Every sound vanished. Lily stared at the bell. "I think they're afraid of it." Before we could stop her, she grabbed the rope. The bell rang once. A deep metallic sound rolled across the forest. Everything changed. Every invisible footstep became visible. Not bodies, only footprints. Thousands of them, appearing everywhere at once. Across the ground, up trees, across rocks, even walking through the air. The forest wasn't following us. It was full of walkers we couldn't normally see. Thousands of them, all frozen, watching, waiting. Then they all turned toward the bell, at exactly the same time. The rope moved by itself. The bell rang again. This time, the footprints began running, straight toward us. Lily panicked and fled into the trees. I shouted her name. She never looked back. Within seconds, her scream echoed through the valley. Then silence. The footsteps stopped, every single one. The bell tower collapsed. Dust filled the clearing. When it settled, Lily was gone. No footprints, no backpack, nothing. As if she'd never existed. Ethan looked at me. His voice barely rose above a whisper. We're the only ones left. I wanted to believe him. Then I looked down. Fresh footprints stood beside mine, perfectly still, 3-toed, waiting. One slow step appeared, toward me. Then another. Closer, closer, until whatever owned them stood directly in front of me. Invisible. Breathing. Watching. My flashlight flickered. For less than a second, I saw it. A towering figure made entirely of darkness, its legs bent backward, its arms hung unnaturally long, and where its face should have been, there was only a giant footprint, pressed into smooth black skin. The light died. Darkness swallowed everything. Then the creature whispered, not with a voice, but with the sound of footsteps, walking, inside my head. To be continued.